Mother Nature has a weird way of playing tricks when she is bored, because every year, there are some naturally occurring incidents that baffle people around the globe. What makes these phenomena so fascinating is the fact that most of these can't be explained, even by scientists. From raining birds to exploding toads, these weird phenomena keep us wondering about what's really possible and what's not. Even if you see them with your own eyes, you wouldn't be able to believe things like these actually happen. So, watch this video to the very end, where we take a look at 11 weirdest natural phenomena ever caught on camera, and try to figure out the reasons that might have caused them. Number 11. Thousands of dead fish wash up ashore in Chile. Dead animals washing up on a beach is not unheard of. It happens almost every year. But what happened in Chile is definitely a one-off event, because something of this scale is surely a rare sight. Stunned residents watched in horror after thousands of dead anchovies washed up ashore on a Chilean beach. Although it's unclear as to what caused the death of so many fish, there have been many theories. Local residents suggest that this mass death can be the result of low oxygen level in deeper waters. They say this low oxygen level left the fish no choice but to come closer to the shore in search of oxygen nutrients. This kind of phenomenon is not uncommon in Chile, however. There was a case of thousands of dead fish washing up ashore even in 2016 and 2021. According to the experts, a bacteria in the seawater was eating up the oxygen levels. While it's common to see these dead fish on the beach in Chile, it surely looks surreal when you see the beach full of so many dead fish. Number 10. Exploding toads in Germany. In April 2005, experts in Germany kept scratching their heads for days after thousands of toads blew themselves up over a period of a few days because they couldn't figure out what exactly had happened. It isn't uncommon for toads to puff themselves up when they are faced with a threat, but puffing up to the extent of blowing up is something that has never happened before. This bizarre mystery was soon solved by experts as they found out that every exploding toad had a similar incision on their backs, and shockingly, their livers were missing. It turns out the crows in the area had developed a taste for toad liver, and they were swooping down, impaling these toads with their beak, and then ripping their livers. Only once the liver was gone did the toad realize it's been attacked. It puffed itself up as a natural defense mechanism. Except, since it doesn't have a diaphragm or ribs, without the liver, there is nothing to hold the rest of its organs in. As a result, these toads ended up blowing themselves. Number 9. Globsters. Whenever a massive sea beast washes ashore, we usually tend to bury the poor brutes in the sand after biologists have done their due diligence. But people are often shocked when, instead of a whole animal, just huge lumps of unidentified flesh known as globsters show up at the beach. They look like animals completely unknown to science and can weigh up to several tons. Interestingly, these oddities have been spotted on beaches everywhere throughout the last century. But what exactly are these blobs of meat? Well, the answer might not be as fascinating as the mystery. Experts have identified every globster that was discovered as the remains of an ordinary creature, usually a whale. Since dead animals in the ocean simply drift, anything left over from predators and natural decay can be caught in a strong tide and wash up on dry land to gross us all out. Number 8. Cocoon trees in Pakistan. In 2010, 10 years worth of rainfall poured onto Pakistani cities and villages in less than a week, completely ravaging the affected areas. While this flood was unfortunate and devastating for the residents, it also had one surprising consequence. After the rain stopped, people started noticing large trees entirely cocooned in sticky webs. At first, no one seemed to know what had caused this, but after a few days of brainstorming, experts finally came up with a definitive explanation for this weird phenomenon. Since it took longer than usual for the water in the flooded areas to recede, high volumes of insects, spiders, and other creatures were forced to seek shelter above ground. These trees appeared to be the perfect spot for these insects to call home until the water level receded. The result was a number of cocoon trees wrapped in spider webs so thick that they looked like massive cocoons and were visible from yards away. Number 7. Sea of Stars. As if the islands of Maldives weren't mystically beautiful enough, this fairy tale-like phenomenon is taking that magical beauty to the next level. The water here glows neon blue at night and almost feels as if it's mirroring the stars because of the shimmering spread of light. This otherworldly phenomenon is called the Sea of Stars. Occurring during late summer in the reefs of the Maldives, this event is caused by a tiny bioluminescent phytoplankton called Legoludinium polydrum. It reacts with the oxygen under the water and is triggered to produce this blue glow when it feels movement. These microorganisms float in the water, charging up with electrical impulses all day long to produce that blue light at night. Although this glow is actually used as a defense mechanism against predators, we can't deny the fact that they do create a stunning sea of glowing blue stars. Number 6. Whales suicide. There have been multiple incidents of whales and dolphins stranding themselves on beaches and dying in agony, but the reason why whales would want to commit suicide went unknown for a really long time. While the exact reason is still unknown, experts believe that there may be a number of factors responsible for these strandings. Some mass strandings are easily solved because the individuals involved are similarly sick or injured. In these cases, they strand because they are pushed inshore by currents as they sail and die. In other cases where the individuals had no visible injury or illness, naval exercises that involve high-powered sonar are thought to be responsible. Some studies also point to features on the coastline and at sea that might disorient whales and dolphins. And finally, like every other living organism, these creatures make mistakes too. Whatever the reason might be, one thing that we all can agree on is that it's really sad to see these magnificent marine animals die like this. Number 5. Raining tadpoles in Japan. We've all heard the saying, "It's raining cats and dogs," but that's not meant to be taken literally, because it isn't naturally possible for clouds to pour down living creatures. Or is it? Well, this became the topic of discussion in Japan when residents in central Japan's Ishikawa prefecture witnessed the apparent downpour of tadpoles. In fact, clouds of the dead creatures have fallen from the sky in many cities in the region since the start of the month. The raining down of small creatures such as frogs and fish is a rare meteorological phenomenon that is reported from time to time across the world. Scientists believe that the surreal raining of animals is attributed to strong winds, storms, and waterspouts sucking up creatures before depositing them further inland. But meteorologists don't seem to be satisfied with this explanation. Officials at Kanazawa Local Meteorological Observatory told local media they were unsure how the tadpoles had arrived, as there has been no reports of strong winds at the time. I guess we'll just have to wait till someone comes up with satisfactory answers. Number 4. Raining birds in Arkansas. While raining tadpoles in Japan might seem weird, something even more bizarre happened on the other side of the world. When most of us woke up to falling snow on New Year's Day 2011, people in BB, Arkansas rose to find thousands of dead birds falling from the sky. There were a number of speculations as to what could have caused such a thing. From lightning strikes and UFOs to biblical signs of the end of time, people flooded the internet with all sorts of conspiracies, but none of them were satisfactory. Scientists attributed the bird deaths to celebratory fireworks on New Year's Eve because they believe that the loud noises, cracks, and booms may have sent the birds into such a frenzy that they crashed into homes, cars, trees, and each other before plummeting to their deaths. Although this explanation is better than most conspiracy theories, it still doesn't pass as satisfactory because fireworks happen every year, but dead birds raining from the sky was a first. Number 3. Narcissi snake dens. Where would you go if you wanted to see a lot of snakes in the same place? You might be thinking about the rainforests along the Amazon River or maybe the deepest jungles of Africa. But you'll be shocked to know that the largest gathering of snakes in one spot is in one of the most unlikely places you'd ever think of: Manitoba, Canada. Yes, each spring, thousands of red-sided garter snakes emerge from their winter dens and congregate in large pits to mate near the town of Narcissi in the inner lake area of Manitoba. But why do they choose this spot in particular? It's simply because of food and shelter. The marshes surrounding the Narcissi snake dens are filled with insects, earthworms, snails, fish, and frogs. To a red-sided garter snake, this is like an all-you-can-eat buffet. This area also acts as the perfect home for these reptiles to keep themselves warm during the harsh Canadian winters. Number 2. Starling phenomenon. It isn't uncommon for a school of fish to move as one in the ocean to scare off predators, but why would birds display this same behavior? Yes, starlings display this weird behavior when huge groups of these birds gather together, moving in one large mass across the sky. They don't simply fly in a flock. They twist and turn into all different shapes during this sky show. These shapes are called murmurations, and they are formed when one starling copies the behavior of its 7 neighbors. And then those nearby starlings copy each of their 7 neighbors, and so on until the entire group moves as one. Scientists think that it has something to do with body heat. A murmuration can attract other starlings in the area to one central roosting site. Especially in the colder months, more starlings congregate together, creating a warmer roasting spot. Another hypothesis is that, similar to fish, starlings do this to deter larger predators like hawks or falcons from attacking the group. Although both of these reasons seem to be logical enough, we don't really know which is true. Number 1. Red crab migration on Christmas Island. We all know that animals migrate in large numbers, hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands. But red crab migration on Christmas Island is weird and special because their numbers are just out of this world. Around 40 to 50 million red crabs start their migration with the first rainfall of the wet season. Red crabs all over the island leave their homes at the same time and start marching towards the ocean to mate and spawn. Their overwhelming numbers force authorities to close up entire roadways and stop traffic to allow these crustaceans to migrate without the fear of being crushed by cars. The rains provide enough moist conditions for them to complete their long and difficult journey of about 5 miles, which usually takes 5 to 7 days. One of the most impressive and bizarre animal migrations. Do you know of any other weird natural phenomenon that deserves a spot on this list? How would you react if it rained animals in your city? Let us know your answers in the comments section below. As always, if you enjoyed watching this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to share this video with your friends. That'll keep you up to date with all the interesting videos we post on this channel. We'll see you soon in the next one. Bye!